Hello everyone, my name is Salim and welcome to the Markets Breakdown Analysis for Monday the 23rd of October 2023. We'll be breaking down chart and shoot the exact zones where price will close above potential buys or close below for potential sells as well. So looking at the previous weekly candle, the weekly closed extremely bullish, breaking and closing above multiple weekly resistances formed on the left. Also, when looking at a monthly time frame, on the analysis posted on Friday, we've mentioned how there was a probability for price to retest the monthly resistance formed in May 2023. So now the big question is, since this monthly candle is coming to a close within 8 to 9 days, the big question is, are we going to see the monthly candle for October closing above this monthly resistance? Or are we going to see this monthly candle retracing and closing, respecting and rejecting this monthly resistance formed in May 2023? So now when looking at the weekly, obviously, this push on the weekly, actually, we have anticipated for price to continue bullish. If you see the analysis posted on Monday, we've mentioned how this weekly candle closed with no wick at the top. But the continuation was still active because this weekly candle formed no wick at the top. And also the weekly candle hasn't formed a rejection to the upside. So the only thing we were waiting for is for the weekly candle, the new weekly candle, to retrace from a bottom wick, and once price break above this high, there was a higher probability for price to continue bullish. So now to drop down to the daily, also the daily candle for Friday closed bullish, but the only thing with the daily for Friday, the daily candle on Friday closed weak bullish, rejecting the 2000 area, so tapped into the 1997 800 and then retraced and closed weak bullish. Now, to break down the chart and drop it down to the follow time frame, and what we can see here is price have been forming some sort of a range on the follow time frame. So we have the most recent 4-hour support around 1976 400, excuse me, and we have the most recent 4-hour resistance formed around 1991 500. Drop it down to the hourly time frame. We have now on the hourly, which is really interesting, we have multiple hourly supports on the left, and those hourly supports, when you measure those candles, you can clearly see these are much smaller candles compared to this previous week hourly candles. So we have the most recent 1 hour support around 1976 400, the most recent 1 hour resistance around 1991 500. I'll drop it down to the 5-minute time frame. Now what we could do here is we could adjust this level of support based on the 5-minute time frame around 1971 800, and we can also identify this hourly resistance around 1983 300. Drop it down to the 15-minute time frame. We have a 15-minute resistance around 1985 800, and a same level on support on the 15-minute time frame as well. So now to identify the no trade zone. So since the daily candle for Friday closed with some sort of a rejection to the upside, a retracement, now maybe we could start see price retracing, forming a resistance to pull back to allow the new weekly candle to form a bottom wick. So the first thing we can see here is for potential buys, what we could do is we could wait for price to break and close above, let's say, 1985. And the reason for 1985 is we have this 15-minute resistance around 1985 700. So potential buys could be above 1985 700. Potential sells, now we do have this hourly support around 1972 400. So potential sells could be below 1972 400, and that way we're allowing for price to range. And even if we were looking for buys, or let's say sells, even if we were looking for sells within this range, is let's have a look. So this is an 18 pip range, this is a 24 pip range, and this is a 25 pip range. So there isn't enough range of price to trade within this range, and this is going to be the no trade zone. And now to look for potential buys, and going back to the daily, actually going back to the monthly. So monthly, the weekly, we have a weekly high formed last week around 1997. Drop it down to the daily, that's also a daily retracement, excuse me. Drop it down to the 4-hour time frame. Now on the 4-hour time frame, we have this 4-hour resistance formed around 1991 600. Drop it down to the hourly time frame. This is also the hourly resistance, and more likely will be the same within the 15-minute time frame. So I'd say the first target for buys could potentially be 1991 600, targeting this 4-hour resistance. The second target for buys, now since the daily candle for Friday closed with a retracement, now we can clearly see the wick to the upside is much bigger than the body of the candle. So maybe we can see some sort of a reversal, so maybe some sells to correct some of the moves before the continuation to the upside. So I'd say the second target for buys could potentially be a wick fill that was formed, the wick that was formed on Friday. That could be a wick fill, and that is a 30-minute resistance formed around 1997-100. And now to look for potential sells, and we're back to the daily. So the first thing we can see here is we have this previous monthly resistance formed in August around 1963-900. Zooming in and dropping down to the weekly time frame. This is also a weekly resistance formed around 1963-900. Dropping down to the daily. This is a daily resistance. So now we have a monthly resistance and a daily resistance matching. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame and looking on the left. The only thing is we have clean traffic within the most recent price action. So what I would say is the first target for sales could potentially be 1963-900. Let's say 1964, basically retesting this previous monthly resistance formed in August 2023. And the second target for sales, now let's have a look on the daily. The daily, the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour, we have this 4-hour open around 1956. Drop it down to the hourly time frame. This is the previous 1-hour resistance around 1957. Looking at the family time frame, we have the same level, but then we're looking on the 15-minute time frame. We have a 15-minute support around, let's have a look. Now this is a 15-minute. I would probably stick to maybe, let's have a look. Maybe we could have the second target for sells targeting this previous 30-minute resistance around 1957.
Dominion Markets, your trading sanctuary.